how can you improve your communication with your doctor. But this video, I want to share with you about when or what are some of the signs that you know that you have outgrown your current therapeutic partner or your physician. So let me tell you a story. I remember going to a doctor's appointment, and the doctor walked in and he literally was gasping for air. You could tell by his face that he wore a CPAP at night. But someone who has obstructive sleep apnea, typically they have a issue with getting in good flows of oxygen. And so his hands were shaking. He could barely breathe. He was a big guy, so he had a big distended stomach. And I was coming to this particular appointment because I needed some help. But to me, I was offended in a way to see someone that was in worse condition than I was in. So I just told him that let me just go ahead and pay my copay. I just think I need to work with someone who's a little bit more proactive. This man almost, it looked like at any particular time he could just fall dead. And so I left the appointment, and I knew that this was a clear sign to me that I had outgrown this particular doctor or this therapeutic partner, even though this was my first time seeing him. However, all of us will have to make a decision. I think sometimes when you don't trust your inner self, you can put yourself in a position to not get the best care that you need. And why am I do I keep bringing up these type conversations? Because I think they're important, number one. And number two, I know oftentimes people make decisions because they feel like we have to appease somebody else when we are paying somebody for care, and we're just asking someone to give us their best. And so giving us their best means, I think, doctors, therapeutic partners, they need to look the part. If you're in the medical field or you're helping someone, you need to look like you're in good health, at least decent health, right? So it goes beyond of just what you know, but what's the representation are you carrying when you're speaking to someone, especially when it comes down to their health care. So what are some of the things, or what are some of the signs to know that you've outgrown your doctor? One is when you do more research than they do. Now, yes, you can be this YouTube or internet doctor, but there's something to say about a person who's willing to do research about a specific health condition that they're having so they can be better, right? And so I can come in and I can have an intelligent conversation with you as a patient therapeutic partner relationship. And so I'm looking to get the best care, and maybe you can tell me something that I don't know that will help me improve my health. But at least I'm showing you that I have taken an active role to improve my health and my lifestyle by doing more research. Okay. So if you find someone who's not giving you information, sometimes um, by the clinical research and data, then oftentimes they're leading you wrong. Now, there's anecdotal evidence, and what anecdotal means, I tried something myself, it worked, and I shared it with somebody else. But at least I need to tell you that, and that I need to tell you if I don't know something, and I can research it more to find out what you're talking about. But I don't dismiss you because you're a person who reads. All of us need to get to a point that we want to read a book to find out about our health so we can improve. So, what is another sign that you can put in, you can earmark to say it's time that you've outgrown your doctor is when that doctor only treats the highs and lows. So when you get a lab report and that doctor is only looking at the trending numbers or whether or not that lab has actually marked something is either high and low, that's concerning because you could be subclinical. So that it doesn't mean that the lab itself, based on their parameters of checking that particular blood level for you, doesn't mean that you're not at the bottom of it being subclinical. You want to be in optimal ranges. And then sometimes you can be trending high, but based upon the lab, the lab is not catching it because you're not over their therapeutic ranges, right? So many times with labs, they're looking for diagnostics. They're looking for you to already have a problem, but you want to look for optimization. You don't want to have a problem. You want your situation to be optimized. So you don't want to be subclinical, and you don't want to be necessarily below what it's going to be called high. You want to be sitting somewhere in the middle so you can have optimal ranges. So if you find a doctor, the only thing that they tell you, well, you know, your cholesterol, that's fine. Your A1C, that's fine. But what does fine mean as it relates to you, right? And so a lot of times doctors just get your printout of your labs, and if the lab itself has not flagged that particular item, then the doctor doesn't give you any instructions on how to improve it. This one of the other things that you can look at, they don't explain anything. Like I talked about yesterday, if you're not in a place where your doctor is communicating with you about your issues and concerns, and they cannot have a healthy dialogue with you, it may be time for you to move on from that practitioner. So really helping you understand, how do you facilitate this after you leave that particular doctor's office? How do you put this into practice? No, nobody's going to sit here and hold your hand and coddle you and baby you. You need to take care of yourself and do some due diligence on your own. But if you've been given a medication, and I used the example yesterday about high pressure medication, that medication can have a lot of side effects. A lot of things like Crestor and Lipitor, those things can have a lot of side effects. People are aching, they're in pain. High blood pressure medication, your blood pressure could bottom out, you could pass out, or something like that. How do I know if I'm having a side effect? And then if I do, what do I do to address it? Okay. And a lot of things too for women, hormonal medication. A lot of hormonal medications is elevating women's blood pressure, but your doctor don't tell you, so you don't necessarily feel bad. You're not monitoring your blood pressure, which is, I always say, get you a blood pressure monitor at home. That is probably the best $70 or $80 you can spend. It doesn't take a whole lot of time to take your blood pressure, but you're keeping an account and a record, and if something is trending up, you can catch it before something happens. Who wants to have a blood pressure issue that is going to cause you to be hospitalized when you can catch something early on and do something different to make some changes? Makes no sense, right? One of the other things that you can do when you know it's time to move on from your therapeutic partner or your doctor, is they're stuck in an old model. There are some doctors that are practicing right now that they're using this old way of doing things. They don't want to learn nothing new. They don't want to look at the new research. And so they're trying to put a square peg in a round hole. And anytime that you have a doctor who is not looking at the clinical, the most recent research, and I'm not saying the most recent is the best, but when they're not comparing what they did in back in the day to what you can do now based upon all the technology and advances. A lot of times people are having unnecessary surgeries and procedures when there's something that you can do on the therapeutic side. That's, maybe it's an injection, maybe it's a different protocol or process that they can implement, but you don't actually have to have surgery. Who wants to actually have surgery where you are having to go into or under anesthesia, and then the risk of the recovery process, the cost of it all, and then saying that they don't even know whether or not this particular surgery is going to work, and you may have to have this done again? Who wants to do that when maybe they can do something that's less invasive to actually help you accomplish? You can heal a lot faster, and your downtime and the cost of it all is not going to be so excessive. So anytime you have a doctor that's not going to change and not looking into research, we have a lot of those doctors. Some doctors who are practicing now that's in their 70s and 80s, they really need to go home. Maybe they need to be in a teaching status, but they're taking up a place and position because they really don't want to go home. They probably have been notarized at some point in their career because they did something really well. But all of us have to come to a point when we know it's time for us to step away from something, right? It may not be that your mind is not sharp, but you're not as fast as you used to be. And so all of us have to discern, when is it our time to step back and let somebody else take the ranks, right? If you're doing surgery, you barely can stand up and move. How will you have the dexterity to do incisions on people. And I think that can lead into malpractice, but that's a whole nother conversation. So, what is another sign that you may need to leave your current practitioner? Your goals are higher than their standard of care. Your goals are higher than their standard of care. So, if you've heard me say this, that it is my goal and my mission for myself is to optimize my health and performance while reducing my reliance on the healthcare system. I know I take supplements. I believe in vitamins and supplementation, especially because of um, the food quality and things like that. But I don't believe that you have to take a pill for everything. A lot of things that we can course correct in our life has to do with lifestyle. We really can make a lot of changes and a huge impact on our health if we would just change our lifestyle. That can be dietary, that can be exercise, that can be psychological stress, right? Those external stressors that's causing a lot of internal stress that is affecting our health. So it's a lot of things that we can do that we can actually optimize other areas besides a pill. It's concerning to me when every time you talk to a doctor or a therapeutic partner or some practitioner, it's always they're pushing a pill. Okay, so if you have high blood pressure, you're taking the pill to get your blood pressure under control, but you never address your diet. That's problematic. You'll never get off the blood pressure medication. And you can stop taking the blood pressure medication if you get your diet under control. So it's a lot of lifestyle changes that we can do. And you'll find if you talk to most therapeutic partners, and as you go through life and go to doctor's appointments and work with therapeutic partners, ask yourself how many people are really talking to me about my lifestyle? How many people are talking to me about it's good for me to get good quality sleep, 8 hours of sleep a night? I'm a 10-hour girl. I need 10 hours. Some nights the good Lord wakes me up before 10 hours. Then if he feels that I'm rested, I get up. But most people can solve a lot of their stress, a lot of their high blood pressure, if they would just go to bed. Remove the TVs out of your home. At least remove the TV out of your bedroom. Take the cell phone out of your bedroom. At least take it and put it maybe at the entranceway of your bedroom that is not right there beside your bed. You can do some small things that will make a great impact. And so if you have someone that is working with you on whatever level, if even if it's a personal trainer and they have not spoken to you about your sleep quality, they have not spoken to you about your nutrition, or at least referred you out to speak to someone, it may be time for you to move on to someone else. So, what do you do next? You want to fire that particular practitioner, but you don't do it with anger. You're not going to be disrespectful. What you could say is, I truly, really want to optimize my health, and I really want to work with someone who is proactive, and I just don't think this is a good fit. Now, once you say that, their response probably is going to be negative against you. But you know that you're doing this in good faith. You know that you're doing this to really help yourself. And you're doing this so there will not be any contention and conflict. The worst thing that you can do is continue to go to a doctor's office and let somebody provide care over you. Whether it's, again, it could be your chiropractor, it could be your esthetician, it could be your personal trainer, it could be your cardiologist, your endocrinologist, it can be your gynecologist. It doesn't matter. It is terrible when you go to a practitioner's office, someone is supposed to be helping you optimize your care, and every time you leave there, you're angry, you're mad, you're upset, you don't trust what they're doing, you don't trust what they're telling you. Why do you continue to go? They can't be the only doctor in town. And even if you had to drive to go somewhere else to see somebody else, I think you're worth doing that. I think you're worth finding somebody else that can help support you and not stress you out about what you're trying to accomplish. And I've learned for myself, if I keep complaining about something, I need to check myself first, because that could be a demonic spirit working against me. But a lot of times when I continue to repeat myself over and over again about a particular situation, it's time for me to move. And I have hurt myself for so many years by staying too long in a situation. That's whether it's friendships, that's whether or not it's business. The moment the Holy Spirit speaks to me about a situation, and it comes to me more than once, and it's a negative thing, meaning like I'm annoyed about it, it irritates me, it's time for me to do something different. I don't need to keep complaining about it. I don't need to keep going on about it. I need to do something about it. I need to go before God. What is it about this situation, God, that you're trying to show me that is not good for me? And so I'm encouraging you. Right now, it is open enrollment. It's probably going to close down in the next couple of days, probably depending on who you're working for. You're going to make some of the changes, decisions about your beneficiaries. What insurance do you want? What do you want to add on? Did you get divorced? You want to take somebody's name off a policy. You want to add some beneficiaries to a policy. At this same time, I want you to consider: are you getting the best health care that you need? Whether it's mental health, whether it's physical health, whatever it may be, are you getting the best help that you need for that particular area of your life? And if you're not, be willing to make a big girl and a big boy decision to make changes. Fire somebody today. There are some practitioners that I will not be taking forward with me in 2026. Just not going to happen. They've served their time. They've done what they can do, but I know that I need something better. And all of us need to make that decision. So if you are in a place now that you want to make that transition, or you have some concerns about your labs and kind of trying to make a plan and a process for you for 2026, and you need some assistance with that. But when this video renders, I will make sure that I will put that down in the comments below of how you can reach out to me. Also, I will put in the description below how you can download your patient communication guide if you want to take that to your doctor's office to use it. Some people get white coat syndrome when they go to the doctor. They get afraid. And maybe if you have a script or something that you can bounce your thoughts off of, it can help you communicate a little bit more effective with your doctor. So if this video blesses you, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Be blessed.